Hey guys, my name is Tapiwa and welcome to the Chartered Accountants Academy video tutorial. Today we're going to be revising this required. You are reviewing working paper B112 business analysis. Prepare an email to F. Sambiri. So you are required to prepare an email. So before you even think about anything else, you have to know your email format. Confirm? So your email format, you need to have a to, a from, a date, and a subject. So what do we have so far? So far we are writing an email to F. Sambiri. So sam@gmail or at planet.co.zw, right? Make sure it's an email format, not just to F. Sambiri. From, since you're writing an email, you're now saying from CTA or ITC at Gmail or Planet or whatever your email address. Just make sure it's an email address. Confirm, guys. And also you have the date there and the subject where corrections, highlighting appropriate corrections to the working paper. So we're just writing corrections to the working paper, right? So on the first part, we're required to show the following: an evaluation of whether or not the scope of the risk assessment is sufficient for purposes of ISA 315. So this is a risk assessment question. When you are asked to discuss a risk assessment or to evaluate, make sure you state your points, your positive points and negative points, but be more inclined to the negative points, right? And what do you have to do at the end? You need to give a conclusion. So today we'll be giving a conclusion whether the risk assessment is sufficient. So just make sure you state your points, positive, negative, and also you conclude, but be more inclined to the negative point, right? So if you go to working paper B11, I just noticed that some information was also from working paper AP 100, but that's still okay. So if you go on this working paper, there's some information that that is just general, or that was not included in this working paper, that is of importance when you are doing a risk assessment. For example, there was no explanation on how the company relies on different governance systems to manage their risk or safeguards. For example, the role of board of directors, it was not outlined, the internal audit, or how they comply or how they report to the board of directors, for example. And also there was no evaluation of how the risks are going to affect the class of transaction or balances or account disclosure. Furthermore, we're not told of any inquiry with those charged with governance on their risk assessment and also the steps that management have taken to mitigate this risk. So these are just the factors that you'll be outlining. So I've highlighted some key points that I hope that you also highlighted them when you were reading through your scenario, through your reading time. So we're saying Planet World is a group structure. What does a group entail? A group, there is a risk that controls may not be working effectively throughout the group. That's another risk assessment, right? And also, apart from control, we also have these companies who are transacting between each other. How does it affect our risk? Inter-group transactions may not be eliminated, right? It's out in what? In misstatements. So this affects our risk assessment. It may increase our risk. If you go to the next point, let's see where I highlighted next. Management or aid firm is being accused of using man-made fertilizers, of which man-made fertilizers and pesticides, this is in contravention with the law, and if they are contravening with the law, this may affect the going concern, as there may be heavy penalties that they may result in them failing or their license being withdrawn. So you'll be stating the going concern assumption may be inappropriately applied, as management are being accused of using man-made fertilizers, which may result in heavy penalties, thus affecting the going concern. Also, if they are using or breaking the law, what does it speak to the integrity? How can we relate this to the integrity? So we're now saying management integrity may be impaired, and if management integrity is impaired, how does it affect the preparation of financial statements? So you can see that this is a big factor, is a very important factor, is all the account balances may be misstated, its management may be fraudulently reporting. Furthermore, the finance director of Planet, Kudarin, was suspended. If he was suspended in October 2018 and we are doing an audit for this period under review, what does it mean to the risk assessment? Controls may not have been implied when he was absent, and also even the preparation of statements, it may not have been done properly since he was away. Furthermore, he was suspended. There are also possible cases of funds and other assets being abused by him, which means his integrity is also impaired. What does it mean for our risk assessment? It increases our risk. Furthermore, Sharon Stone is not at liberty to disclose the strategy. What is this leading us to? This is leading us to scope limitation. If there is a scope limitation, how is it going to affect our audit? We may not be able to obtain or to gather sufficient appropriate audit evidence, which will in fact affect our audit opinion. So this is another risk factor. On the governance side, management has concluded that King 4 and ZIN code are not applicable if the company is unlisted. Is this true? Is this true, ladies and gentlemen? If a company is listed or unlisted, compliance to King 4 is still, if they want to have a sound corporate or governance structure, they need to comply with King 4 and ZIN code. So these are the figures that I was just able to outline. For example, I'm sure you will get the solution and you can make your way forward. But please, it's very important for you during reading time to be able to point out some factors that may be of importance. If you go to the other required, asks us to identify and explain any weaknesses in corporate governance in accordance with King 4 at Planet. So our reference is King 4. Whatever we do, we have to reference it to King 4. Now let's go to the governance. If you go to the governance note, here we're told that, so I also highlighted, but I didn't highlight the whole scenario because I saw everything was of concern. So we were told that, let me just use a different color pen, use blue, yes. So we're told that Sharon Rose, in a capacity as chair of the Audit and Risk Committee, what does King 4 say in line with the Audit Committee? Should she be part of the Audit Committee? So our factor here is not her being the chair. Our key point is her being in the Audit Committee, as the Audit Committee should only have independent non-executive directors. Furthermore, Planet has therefore decided to cherry pick. If you have decided to comply with King 4, then you have to take the whole King 4. You don't have to cherry pick the principles that you may want or that you may fancy. You have to comply compulsory and mandatory to all requirements of King 4. Chairman of the board is the founding member of Planet. What does King 4 say about the chairman? The chairman should be an independent non-executive director. Is this guy independent? No, he's not. Independent directors, we have no independent directors. What does King 4 say about the board composition? So I'm sure these factors, you know them, but please just make sure that it is, or when you are writing your points, you can say it is of concern that there are no independent non-executive directors. When King 4 stipulates that there should be non-executive directors, of those non-executive directors, the majority should be independent, which will result in a sound corporate governance structure. The company secretary duties are being performed by the finance and admin departments. What does King 4 say to this? Non-executive members, they are there. There are 15 members. 15 out of 21. 15 over 21. These are non-executive directors. What does King 4 say about this? King 4 says non-executive directors should be more than the executive directors. This means we only have 6 executive directors. So this principle is okay. So there is no need for you to waste time doing all this, because you already know this is a good this is an approved principle from the King 4. So there's no need for you to state this, because you are only asked to discuss the concerns. Furthermore, the audit risk is 12 members from various industry. Okay, the audit committee, what is the composition of the audit committee? I'm sure there should be independent non-executive directors, but you were told that there were no independent non-executive directors. So you'll be linking what you found there to the audit and risk committee. Same applies to remuneration committee or executives. What does King 4 say? The internal audit department reports to the board. Is there any concern there? Internal audit department reporting to the board. There is no concern there. They should actually report to the board through the audit committee. But if they're reporting to the board, it's still fine. So there's no need for you to waste time stating this in your solution points. Just go where the concerns are. Furthermore, so board evaluations are happening every 3 years. I think, guys, this was a fairly easy question. I really hope you managed to ace it and got everything correct there. If you have any further questions, feel free to hit our inbox auditing@caa.ac.zw, or even book a consult with us. We'll be very free to help you. Thank you so much, guys, for your time. Enjoy the rest of your study.